Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Friday afternoons here on Tales from the Grim. We're going to be playing a little Aether's Walkway using the Cypher system by Monty Cook Games and the Fantastic Wonderland created by Alice RGM. I cannot wait to get in. I always get super amped before this moment and usually screw up these intros. I will try to avoid that same catastrophe today as I tell you the following. We are here to tell a fantastic tale in a world of Alice's creation, but to be able to do so, we have wonderful and fantastic sponsors. We are right now sponsored by our virtual tabletop of choice, Roll20. Go to www.roll20.net/start/Tales from the Grim or follow the link in chat and you will be taken to Roll20 and you will there be able to set up your own free account to continue in this age of social distancing any story, tale, adventure, or legend you would like to create. Also, if you would like to pen a legend, you are a writer, you are a player, you are a game master, and you have a world that's on the tip of your tongue, bouncing around inside of your head, please visit our newest sponsor, World Anvil. Go to www.worldanvil.com. There you will find the tools to put as much or as little of your world into the forge. Create it as you go. Create the complete world and drop your players into it, or if you're writing a story, put down all the elements of your characters, all the way that your plot wants to go, and enable yourself to collect your thoughts in a very succinct manner. It's a fantastic a fantastic resource. Everyone should give it a try. With that, I would also like to say that today, if you are here starting in about 5 seconds, as soon as I get done what I'm doing here, I will launch our giveaway. Today we are having a giveaway for the PDF copy of the Cypher system rules that we use here. Cypher system is absolutely fantastic. Anything you can think of, anything that you can formulate with your imagination, even if it's an old movie, TV show, comic, piece of poetry, you can create the world around it using this system. It is completely compatible with anything your imagination can bring up. That giveaway starts soon, but I'm sort of done. I think I got through okay, but all I care about is the story ahead. Everybody sit back. If you would like to influence the story, we have narrative donations down below that directly go to benefit our players both in and out of character. Take as much or as little agency inside the stories you'd like, but now I'm going to turn it over to the person whose world this is. Alice, my friend, I'm ready to go.
We'll dive straight in. And where we left off last time was that Cantor, Hybria, Loxy, and Livewire had just left Fastmax. And upon leaving Fastmax, pulling away in that truck, they had seen Mac himself get forced into one of the Supremacy cars. And he made eye contact with Cantor. Sort of there seemed to be some form of recognition there, but it was fleeting before you saw him disappear into this car. As you pulled away, Loxy managing to just pick up that small sort of signal on the maps to meet up with Zarina. And Zarina, where you are right now, you've just left Sleaze. You're running. The area you're in right now is full of billboards. It's very, very bright. There doesn't seem to be a lot of cars going around. There's a lot of walkways. And it is later in the day, and it's always dark on Nalmerius, but you wouldn't guess it with the amount of lights coming off of all these billboards, sort of advertising Fastmax, and all of these different companies. You leave Sleaze as you're running, but as you're running and you move sort of across these walkways, you notice that there is no one else on these walkways. It's normally packed, it's normally busy. This is a part of the city where normally you're just going to be moving through crowds right now. This is like the work hours.
Oh, okay.
And
this is fine.
As you are running,
but these happen to be an Aether's walkway?
They are technically. I haven't labeled them, but
okay.
You have all of these walkways. You can see as you're running and you're moving, that there's no people, there's no cars. The sort of holographic images of the trees and the birds you notice are flickering in and out before they almost turn off altogether. And you can see and hear behind you footsteps of people running.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that uniform of the Supremacy start leaking out from the passageways in between these buildings on the up on these different levels, and you're not too sure why, but there's a lot of them. It doesn't take more than one person normally to, you know, arrest someone. There seems to be about 18 of these people, and they're very intent on finding you. They haven't seen you yet.
It seems like an excessive number of people looking for me. That's all I'm gonna say.
The only thing you can see in the distance is you can see Slee's head still drop back, almost coming round, shaking his head. A couple of them seem to be surrounded by him, and he seems to be getting quite a hard time out of it.
Yeah, well, it's not like he doesn't deserve it at this point. She'd apologize, but not right now. Not maybe ever. She's going to try and remain unseen. Stick to the shadowier areas, places where maybe the lights are more flashy or hard to focus on a single object, kind of thing.
Okay, roll me a speed check of 3, please, as you try and avoid.
Let's see how this goes. Do I spend? I'm gonna spend an effort. 'Cause I feel like that might be important. So, okay, speed check. Oh. Yes.
Okay. You start moving amongst these shadows. You're moving through the buildings. You can sort of, almost in a way, use the light to your advantage. You are almost using it in a blinding way. You get so close to it, you're pressing down the sides of some of these buildings. You can see that there are walkways, sort of, the walkways in the city tend to stack up on each other, so you can reach all the different levels. You notice there are some above, there are some below you, and there are definitely some, you actually watch about 3 or 4 of them tear past you as you go. You can hear them yelling, and they are calling out your name to them. They know your name, and they are telling everyone to spread out and find you.
And it's not like in a, oh no, we're concerned about this poor lost woman, like Zarina. Sorry, it's more. It's not like that, is it?
It's find her.
Okay, yeah. It's not like Zarina next. Zarina. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna try to not be found. It sounds not fun.
You can see them on the main pathway as they're running past. You can definitely see from where you are as you look up through the shadow, sort of like alleyway. You can look up and you see them starting to line up. They are looking over the sides. They're looking everywhere for you. Could you roll me another speed check to stay hidden as they start moving, please?
Yeah.
That is another speed check of 3.
And she's trying to avoid the main areas, even if it involves getting in some height, some places not railings. She's not concerned about that. It's more don't be seen. Another speed check of 3, you said?
Yes, please.
Okay,
so on that roll, you definitely avoid them, but you also have a second to move. Where are you going? And you can definitely do it.
I'm going to try to move further out of Sector 54. Just away. Closer to Fast Max. In the general Fast Max direction, if I know where that is.
Yeah, you'll know where Fastmax is. You can definitely, you start moving, you stay down that alleyway. You know you want to get some height, as there seems to be more on the lower level that you're on as they are looking for you.
Yeah, she'll get height then for sure, because she's not worried about falling, because she's got the long jump stuff, so.
you can find some of these almost like fire escape esque staircases that seem to be clamped to the outside. They're normally there for maintenance on the big signs, and you can hear your own footstep, that clank on metal as you're running up the sides. You have to go up at least 4 or 5 of them to get up to the next level, but you manage to just pull yourself along, sort of using your hands on both sides of the railings, dragging yourself up. You tear up to the next level, and you come out on one of the walkways on the other side of the billboards. Again, very, very bright, loads of colors going on. You can see a huge hologram advertising something. It looks to be a new vehicle, one of the motorized vehicles, as it sort of rotates and spins. And as it does, there's a slight flicker, and you can see 3 Supremacy members at the other end of the walkway, and they sort of snap and turn and look at you as you hear that clank, and you pull yourself up onto the walkway.
Okay.
They run
Towards me, I assume.
towards you.
Okay, that's nice. I just, had to make sure.
Just checking.
If they looked
Because
at
it
me
could
and
have
then
been
run
like,
away.
they could have like, oh no, we
They
run
could've gone,
away.
"Oh,
Look how intimidating I am. Not really. Okay. Yeah, they're running towards me. I'm gonna run towards them as well. So I'm on this level and they're on the other side. Is there another under section that connects as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You can.
Yeah,
you can see there's like it's almost staggered. There's other walkways staggered to go lower.
Yeah, I'm gonna run towards them then, and then when I'm about, 10 feet away, I'm gonna jump down to one of the lower walkways and keep going.
Okay. Could you roll me a speed check, please?
Because I don't know if they're gonna be able to, because I got that far step, which I will click in there just to boop. So
Yeah,
long
you can do that. Yeah. So roll it just to see how well you do it.
Yeah.
land.
Boop.
Okay. You can, well, what does it look like? How does Serena get over? Because this is quite high up, but to you, this is just a little bit of a fall with everything that you've got. But what does it look like as they come so close to you as they're sprinting? And you use that moment to swing over. What does it look like?
I'm gonna say, oops, and then just parkour over the side.
You sort of see them throw their hands onto the railing to look over, and you sort of swing your whole body over and almost very precisely land on the next level. There seems to be a couple of pedestrians at this point that sort of yelp
that's
and get
good.
out of your way.
Pedestrians are a good sign. Excuse me, pardon me, sorry.
And you can sort of weave through a couple of them. There's not a lot here. This seems to be a bit more like a back street, but you can start sprinting. You can see the 3 chasing you running alongside.
I probably weren't expecting that, so.
And thank you for the donation to make things worse. You notice one of them take out this, they sort of reach into this very long white jacket and pull out this, it looks like a very sort of silvery type ball with, but it looks like it's almost like a puzzle piece, like it's been made up, and it's, you can see it for a moment, and I will say you recognize this as they take it and they throw it up into the air, sort of in your direction, and there is this burst of white light, and you watch it sort of separate for a moment, and it sort of hovers in midair before it starts shifting and clicking and changing into this droid type creature, which you know is one of those monitor ones they track. And it starts to not only hover, but you notice one of the Supremacy press a button up at the top as it lands as it sort of lands behind you, and you can see these legs sort of move out, and it starts to chase you as it's getting faster and faster.
Why am I always being chased by mechanical things? I don't know. It's just my lot in life.
You can see like this one very bright blue eye sort of switching in the main body of it as it is monitoring. You can see a hologram sort of like a shield come up in front of it, and it seems to be running data, and you know it is learning every single thing about you.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay.
Are the machines attracted to you because because of your magnetic personality?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Can't stop it, so I'm just gonna keep running.
Okay. Could you make a speed check to outrun this thing, please?
I will most certainly try. Speed check. Boom.
Okay. You don't fully outrun it. If anything, you can feel it on your heels, and you notice as soon as it gets closer, almost like these spines are sent out, almost like they're shot out, and they lodge themselves in the back of one of your mechanical arms, one of the plates along the side, and you can see these small little flashing lights on the end, and as it does, you can feel this moment as the creature itself just starts to pulse. It doesn't seem to be drawing energy from you, but it's reading it. It's reading your level of energy.
As it does that, I'd like to reach over and push like the vital signs monitor that I have in my arm, just to submit that data before this thing gets doing whatever it's gonna finish doing.
Yep. You can submit all of that and it sends it straight off. You notice as this thing gets closer to you, it overtakes you.
Okay.
And it continues to overtake you.
Well, you know, technology and flesh fused together can outrun normal people, but not technology, so this makes sense.
What would you like to do? You can see the supremacy sort of moving. They seem to be yelling like halt and things like that, sort of yelling your name. It's kind of muffled with all of the cars and everything going past, but they definitely seem to be yelling towards you.
Okay. And this thing has me in its clutches. Its evil robotic clutches.
It's not turning around to grab you. It's still moving
it's just
faster
reading
than you.
me. Okay, I don't know, keep moving. I don't know, like, I'm gonna just, mental text, just, you know, verbal text Loxy, and be like, sooner would be better than later, thank you.
And Zarina, you are sprinting along this walkway. There are more and more people arriving. It's still not a busy walkway as it is. They seem to be almost running away from you, but they're running away from this creature that seems to be sort of, it's not getting bigger. If anything, it's getting longer. And you know some of the plates are splitting and they're joining, and almost like the flow of like a millipede, it's sort of moving like that.
No.
The plates of this metal as it's going. And as it gets so far, it stops and it turns to look at you.
Yeah?
What would you like to do?
This robot is looking at me. I don't think I'm gonna glean a lot of emotion from it.
I mean, it hasn't got like Puss in Boot eyes on right now.
So, I think the only thing she thinks she can do is just keep moving.
Okay. Behind you, you can see more supremacy that have come down to the next level that seem to be chasing and heading in your direction. However, there's one
I don't think I should
member...
stand next to this large robotic thing they threw at me. I feel like that's important.
It's a little bit further ahead, so you can sort of start running towards it. These things are coming up behind you.
Yeah.
And you hear the yell of one of the members of the supremacy up above, and you notice the ones chasing you come to a skidding halt and stop. And you notice this person pull out that button again and they press it.
Oh no, that's not good.
You watch this creature start to vibrate like it did, and it just explodes.
Does it explode in a similar sense to the way Cantor exploded, or is this explosion different?
This is different. This is a full-blown mechanical explosion.
It was worth asking.
You have this second where it's a bright light, but it's very much that orangey glow. You can feel the heat as the walkway itself that this you realize now this millipede has almost secured and planted itself into.
There's another level down, right?
There is a level further down, but as this does,
is there a level
walkway
parallel to
starts.
us within long range?
Probably not
Okay.
in range for jumping.
Cool.
But as this happens, the bridge gives way. And you can see it just crash and start to crumble. You hear screams of other people running.
I feel like I'm on an elevator again for some reason, and I don't know why.
But you feel the path beneath your feet start to shake.
Yep.
As this explosion ruptures, and you can feel the entire walkway shudder.
Okay.
And you start to feel that ground beneath you fall.
Yeah.
You are on the bit that is breaking.
Okay.
And falling.
I would like to not be on the bit that is breaking and falling. I would like to super mechanical leg powers activate long jump to safety.
Okay. Roll me a speed check. In fact, roll me 2. One to run to get to a stable bit and launch it the last second. The other one's for the jump.
Okay. I feel more confident about the jump, so we're gonna use a crit to get to the stable point, and we're gonna use an advantage to jump.
Okay. Could I have a speed check of 4? You will jump, but it's gonna be how successful it is.
Okay. There's 1, 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you, as this walkway starts to fall,
advantage.
It breaks off in pieces. You see the railing sort of bend and sort of start to wane as you feel everything tip and fall. The bit you are actually on has already started to fall down into the depths of Nalmerius, but using that crit, you start to, using the mechanical legs that you have, you start jumping, almost like riding these falling bits of debris that are leaving this bridge as you run up, and using that last moment, you feel your foot hit the last of that bar as you do that running almost jump through the air. You can see one of the cars swerve as they sort of screech to get out of your way as you move through the air, and there's a crash, and you land pretty well for what it is as you plummet about 3 different stories. And you sort of tuck and you roll and you hit onto this other walkway. Ahead of you, you can see this spider web of alleyways. They're all full of, more lights, more sort of billboards and stuff like that. But there are no supremacy on this level.
Great. I'm gonna keep moving and update my location ping to Loxy.
Okay. One more speed check, please, to lose yourself in this web.
You have another crit in case you care.
In case I care. Yeah, well, you know what? Sure, this is a real bad. We'll use that other crit to just super lose the supremacy.
Okay.
For now.
You weave into these different alleyways. There's loads of billboards. It's almost too bright, and you think in a way that might be playing to your advantage. As you you can see all these bright colors, these oranges, yellows, blues.
I just
and
apply the
reds sort of
sunglasses
flashing.
filter to my mechanical eyeballs, and then,
shades are on, and you can sprint, and you sort of have this moment as you look up, and the walkways, the supremacy are flooding through it. They're pushing people out of the way. They seem desperate to get to you, but they don't see you enter this long sort of web of all these different billboards. There's other people down here, not a lot, but there's you can see where there's a lot of like bins and trash cans sort of outside propped up.
And once I'm a decent ways away, I'll just walk casual, act cool. Don't look like I'm running from supremacy for the average passerby.
You can definitely do that as you slowly start to walk. You blend in. And as you start to blend in and lose yourself in these alleyways. Sorry, just correct me if I'm wrong. Did you say we hit a supernova, Greg?
Yes, the mysterious voice coming from off screen says you have received a supernova. You also have the ability to make it worse, and we are closing in on a super villain. Back to you, Alice.
You manage to lose yourself in all of this arena as you weave through these different holograms. Every now and then might make you jump as you can see these very human-sized ones that are built to hop out of the billboard and try and sell you things. They're not real people, they're different AIs as they sort of hop out and then they retract back into the scene that they are showing on this billboard. And you are walking through these alleyways towards Fast Max on your own. And
because I know I'm nowhere near it, but
yeah, but you're heading in the right direction. You're definitely
it's
heading in the right direction.
Yeah, cool.
Loxy, Hybria, Livewire, and Cantor, you're in the truck and you are moving off from Fast Max. It's almost quite a calm movement as you aren't attracting any of the sort of supremacy or anything like that. They seem to be very occupied. Yes, Greg.
I'm sorry, Alice. I just wanted to... This might have an influence on your narration, and I don't mean to interrupt you at all, ever.
No, do it.
Monty Cook Games has just made sure that we have broken through our threshold. You have all of your dastardly GM villainy bullets in your gun.
Thank you, Monty Cook.
Yeah, shoot us up.
Okay, so in this car, you're sort of steering away, and Cantor, you're looking at Mac as he sort of gives you that short glance as you watch him shoved his sort of into these supremacy cars as they pull away. And you've got that map up in the front on Loxy's dashboard, that little blink of Zarina moving, and she is moving fast. And you've got the updated location from Zarina, sort of goes straight in. What are you doing as you sort of move off and drive away? Is there anything you do before you leave Max?
At the end of last episode, Cantor had turned and said, I think to Hybria, I think I know that guy. Because he had already sort of lost the conversation of the 5 or 10 minutes prior. But if Hybria were to look at him, you could see that there is a trust that might not have been there before when he looks at her.
I think she would take note of that. I don't know how insightful Hybria is, but if you say it's plain on his face, then I believe it. And I think that she's kind of torn at this moment because she wants to go get Zarina, especially if she sees that little dot just like zooming off somewhere. But she lays a hand on Cantor's like shoulder and she says, yes, you did before. It'll be a longer conversation if you can hold off on it for the time being. I think it is an important conversation to have so that you are fully aware of the circumstances that have just occurred. But presently, we have some pressing priorities in the form of our friend Zarina being harmed, possibly. So, yes, we will have that conversation later, but everything will be okay.
He accepts that, doesn't say anything, and just stares out the front.
Mm-hmm. She kind of gives you one of those nods that's like, you know those nods that are like a handshake? It's just like a, yep. And that's her confirmation that it'll happen.
Question, how is Livewire feeling right now?
Well, you know, medicated. The bone knit seems to be better. He was sort of okay until he just heard Hybria say that Zarina is possibly being injured, because that was not part of the conversation. up till this point in time. It was just like, oh, she's gone off, and now we're gonna sort of go and pick her up, but not because Zarina doesn't message him for whatever reason, because she thinks he's a creeper. He has no idea that she's in a state, because no one has informed him of this. So this is the first time he's heard that perhaps there might be something going on, and he is clearly tense, on edge, anxious now. I mean, also still medicated, but sort of like anxious. You know when you're not driving a car and you're in the back seat of that car and you just want to will the car to go faster? When you're like, I don't know, 14, you know, and you're just like, and you've got that kind of that energy where you just are hoping that just somehow by moving your body a little forward, you can make the car move a little bit forward faster. And so he's clearly, at the moment that Hybria said that Zarina might be in trouble, he was about to say something, but then he realized there really wasn't any, like, nobody knows anything, so there wasn't anything to say, but he's clearly now super agitated. And trying to look, right? Like, but there's nothing to see, right? So it's that kind of very impotent moment where you're not driving the car, you can't see anything, and you don't know what's going on, but you just hope that somehow you can will the car faster without distressing anybody.
You do pull into the main sort of line of traffic, and you can head in the direction of Zarina. And whilst that's happening, Loxy and Hybria, could you both roll an intellect check for me, please?
Sure.
Yeah.
Both an intellect check of 2, please.
Okay. I think I still have my drive on, so I'll do that.
I'm gonna use my advantage on that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do this one more time. Okay, much better.
Okay. So you both pull it, Loxy, you're driving, you're pulling into this sort of line of traffic. It's perfectly normal. You can watch the Supremacy cars head off in the complete opposite direction. And they seem to sort of rise up a couple of levels, and they almost completely disappear. As you're driving, you can definitely feel, I'd say, that Livewire is agitated, sort of in the car. But as you are moving, you watch Zarina's this little light across the map, just sort of ooh, ooh, as it moves, and it gets to a point, and it just stops.
Like, it stops blinking or it stops moving?
It stops blinking. The light goes out.
The light is gone.
Wait,
Yep.
Zarina's light?
Yeah, Loxy, on your screen, you can see that Zarina's light. It's almost like it's the light that is showing Zarina moving, just gone, as if a bulb has gone out.
Can Livewire see this?
That would be the question I would like to know, because I'm going to assume that in the backseat I don't see this.
Only if the only other person who might see it is Cantor.
That's probably a good thing.
So am I sitting in the front seat with Loxy then, I'd imagine? And we're both...
I think it's you, Livewire, Loxy, and you in the front seat.
Mm-hmm.
Hybria, however, you don't see this. Because, as you do, you have this moment where you feel your hands, like, tingle. And as you have this moment, you can almost feel like that static, that blue that you saw Cantor use. It's like it seems to be, it's almost like you are sat in the car, but like everything goes foggy around you for that moment. And you look at your fingers and they feel like they're tingling, and that blue light, almost like little trains of electricity and wiring, sort of seem to spread over your palms and around your fingers. And as you look up from it and out of this windscreen, you're looking through another pair of eyes. And you are walking slowly, casually across a walkway. there are people running and screaming. You can see the debris sort of falling from above you, what looks like a walkway that has just exploded as it sort of drips past. But you can see this debris landing on the walkway around you, but you don't move, you don't flinch. You casually walk through the crowd of people running, and you start to hear in your ear a whistle. A whistle of a tune. One that you recognize. And you can hear the murmur of words of, "We'll meet again. Don't know when." And they look up, and you look towards this, what looks like a network of alleyways. And as this sort of almost through your eye line, you start to walk through, the movement almost has a slight dance to it. This is very casual, there is no rush. You can see holograms and boards around you, these lights. Just ahead of you, in the distance, at one of the ends of these alleyways, you can see the back of Zarina. And as you blink again, you're back in that van.
Can I elapse how much time has passed since I like blued out?
Literally seconds.
Okay. I will look over at Loxy because Loxy has just noticed her light go out. Or Loxy, I think Loxy noticed that Zarina's light went out. So I'll look over at Loxy.
How is Loxy reacting to the light going out?
Very calm and internal panic. She sees the light go out. She looks at the road. She looks at the light again, or at the GPS again, and is just going to drive as fast as she can without breaking any laws per se, to try and get to where the dot was seen last, and the general direction of where the dot was headed.
Could you roll me a speed check just to see how well you drive? Just a straight up speed check to see how well you maneuver all the traffic. Yeah, you do it quite well. The only thing is, you hear on the radio as this crackly sort of voice starts to come in, this tune. And you hear about an explosion on one of the walkways up by District 54, and that it's causing traffic that's backing up all the way through the districts. And as you do, just in the background, you can hear that song, the same one from the garage. It's almost like it's not even enough to call it background noise. At first, you're sort of not even sure if it's coming through the radio or not, as it sort of fizzles and crackles out.
Lox is gonna look at Hybria and Cantor to see if they heard that too.
Yeah, I'm like looking at Loxy like very intently, like, it's him. I saw him. GM, can I use my hacker? Well, first question, when one of your pools drops to 0, what does that do again?
That is going to see, if you see your damage track,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
you go on to impaired.
Okay, that should be totally fine. Can I use my hacker ability to, it says I can gain quick access to a desired bit of information in a computer or similar device, or access one of its primary functions. Can I hack either the GPS, or like you said, it was like an electrical thing in my hands. Can I like hack myself to like trace back into that POV or something?
So you want to, what is the result you want?
I want to be able to
where
see
Zarina is?
where Zarina is, or like what happened to Zarina after I like came back to this moment.
Okay. Roll me an intellect check to see how much info
I would like to
Yeah.
say that we do have some critical
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm
At
not gonna
our-
roll that. I'm just
at
gonna
our
take a
disposal.
crit, please.
Okay. As
Please
you
give
sort
me the
of-
critical amount of information.
as you sort of like hack into effectively yourself, again you see that blue spark, and it is definitely Cantor's blue spark that you sort of feel in the palm of your hand, like when he sent out that tracker that day in the garage. And your information comes from another form of like an electrical product, as you feel like everything is so bright for you just for a second, but almost like your vision has gone very orange and yellow, and you realize you're in one of the billboards, almost like you've managed to hack one of the hologram advertisements. As you step out of this billboard, you can see that you have some sort of drink hologram in your hand, and you look down this alleyway and you have a moment where you can see Zarina walking, and this person, more of a silhouette, but you recognize it because of how dark it was in the garage. This man in a sharp suit, fairly slim, fairly lean, sharp haircut. And you can see him walking just a little bit ahead of you. He seems to be away from Zarina right now. But he's walking, he is whistling, he is singing. And you notice as you sort of lean out in this hologram sort of form and look, he stops and turns and looks straight at you.
I push the drink forward and do one of these. I have some control over this.
Yeah, you have like control over the hologram. It doesn't, like, you can't pick things up, you can't do that, but you
I
are
can't
effectively
leave
a hologram.
The area of the hologram.
You have to stay in the
Mhm.
length of the billboard.
Mhm.
Alice, can I assist here?
Uh-huh.
Yes, how?
If he was paying, Cantor's paying particular attention to Hybria, and he saw all of this going, this hack that she had performed, can I piggyback onto her trace, and I want to send out my scan through the hologram into the area, and I want to set off any electrical disturbance I can to try to warn Zarina that there's someone behind her.
Okay.
Don't you also have a tracker on this guy?
Yep,
I do,
that's
yeah.
why you can find him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, roll an intellect check for me.
Critical!
3. Okay, so as this happens,
Thank you, Chad.
I will say, Hybria, you're there as this man stops, sort of tilts his head, and you're holding this this hologram of a drink out, and he starts to lean very, very close to you to almost question when you hear that fizzle and that crack of almost like bulbs bursting, it's almost like an overdrive, like you sort of pumping so much electricity in it, it just short circuits everything. And that billboard that you're in dies. Like, it just short circuits. You see sparks run all the way down this alleyway towards Zarina, and you're both back in this truck.
I turn and immediately look at Cantor did we both blew out at the same time?
Before Cantor answers that, do I still have my ping on the gentleman?
Yes.
Then when Hybria would look over, Cantor's eyes would have no pupil to them. I can see him.
Let's go get him. And then I'll turn to Loxy, and noticing that she hasn't seen the thing, I said, there has been an update and a development. We are going to stay perfectly calm about this, but we are also going to drive wherever Cantor says in an extremely excelled pace. and then I turn to Livewire and I say, everything will be fine. We have updates and developments, and we are working to resolve them. Please stay calm.
What are the developments? What's going on? He
There-
says, as a middle-aged Chinese businessman.
Mhm. There is someone, probably more than just one, looking for Zarina currently. Cantor has a lock on them. They are quite close to Zarina. We did our best to warn her as much as we could, but we are going to find them. Cantor has a tracer on him, so wherever he goes, if he's with Zarina, we will find Zarina.
Livewire is going to look with a bit of panic, but in that controlled panic way, in this van for a melee weapon, like a large wrench, because this is the van for the shop, large wrench, length of chain, any kind of thing, because right now on the outside I might look like a Chinese businessman in a nice suit. On the inside, I'm just wearing a hospital gown and a leather jacket and a luchador mask and a hat. So
Are your bones done?
Yeah, and so I'm looking for something in the van that I might be able to use as a melee weapon.
I will ask Loxy what you keep in your van, if you keep anything in your van.
I do. There are these like lockbox benches almost, in the back, where there are just some tools that I might use for some like quick fixes, like tire wrenches. I guess I wouldn't really need a jack since these cars hover, but
Well, you might actually have hover jacks, right? Like, because what if the cars don't hover? And you
that's
need
true.
little-
Maybe their hover machine's broken. Their anti-gravity thing is busted. So yeah, I've got a little hover rolly thing that hovers low for me to get on under the cars. I've got a hover jack, and basic tools. Maybe some chain in case I need to tow.
Yeah, and Livewire is just going to sort of like open up one of these sort of, because he's in the back, open up one of these sort of benches, and is going to look in there in this way that like the movements are quite deliberate, like it's fine, but the energy is not good. And I'm going to just look through, and I'm going to pull out probably a length of chain, like sort of like a good heavy tow chain, and I'm going to just hold it and then shut the bench and then sit down on the bench holding this chain. Well, like, and you can tell that at this point in time, Livewire has positioned himself so that he can get out the back of the van real fast in case he needs to. He's looking forward through the window so he can see anything, but he's like a spring coiled, ready to leap.
Hybria nods in approval.
Loxy, as you drive... Sorry, go on, Cantor.
I was just going to say, Cantor would move up and kind of be behind Loxy's chair, like her, I'm assuming like a van captain chair type thing. And whether he's pointing through a building, a bridge, oncoming traffic, he will just extend his hand out and point in the direction that he knows the man to be.
You sometimes point to places where there are no roads. It's just like that way.
I would say more often than not, yeah.
Such a sat-nav thing to do. You, Loxy, you're driving through and you've got like Cantor's arm sort of reaching out and pointing in. It sort of moves almost like as you turn.
Loxy's driven with Cantor enough to sort of understand his directions.
I was going to say, I think you would know how this works.
Yeah,
so.
I'm like, all right, make a right here and then make a left here.
I just think the whole entire van is, you know how some people are like in hysterics at moments, or like, bah! I just feel like your entire van is like super calm in the way that like the tension you probably is so thick you couldn't cut it with a knife. It's just like the knife would break, the tension is too thick. I just that's how I imagine. Like we're all just like, I imagine Loxy just driving. Like no, she's just driving, and like Hybria's like paying attention. There's a pointing, and I'm like, I've got a chain, and everything is totally fine, but it's not fine at
Everything
all.
is just dead silent except the
Yes.
sound of your chain like clinking as we move in the car.
And the
Yes.
creepy static whistling.
Yes.
Yeah. Ugh.
I was gonna say, as you move closer and closer, I will say, Loxy, as you're driving, you can see what looks like the wreckage of one of the walkways that's just collapsed. And people, it's normal maintenance workers seem to be rushing there to try and fix it as soon as possible, get people out of the area. You can see the watchers, and this is above you. So you almost like drive not under it as you're sort of being taken on a detour, but you can see where this huge explosion has wrecked half of this walkway and just collapsed down below. And as you move further and further, because you have to do almost like a loop round to avoid it, I will say, Livewire, looking out the window, you can see almost just like head back, suspended, being dragged away by watchers, is Sleaze. He's not reacting. He seems almost in a state of, like, you know, not paralysis, but like he's moving, but his face is not. It's like he's somewhere else.
Oh, Alice. Livewire.
Oh,
I know. Livewire says to
no.
Loxy,
Chat.
that's Sleaze. He's being taken away by the Watchers. Over there.
Hybria doesn't even look, but she overhears this, and I feel like just staring like straight ahead or like briefly glancing at Cantor's finger, she's just going to say, "We do not like Sleaze. Sleaze is not a friend of ours. Sleaze will fend for himself. We need to go get Serena."
And you can watch him be dragged away, and he's literally almost like as stiff as a board. He's rigid as he's being dragged away. And the closer you get, the more that whistling starts to come through. You're pretty sure it's because of Cantor's connection. The closer you get, it's starting to blend. And you can hear that static. And you can hear breathing through this radio, this as it's a very steady breath. This isn't someone running. This is someone walking and almost very serenely calm. And that whistling gets louder and louder, so much so, Loxy, it's almost like the radio, almost like you can see it start to, like, the lights that show the bars on the volume is going too high.
I feel like Hybria's like, turn it down.
You're trying to turn it down, and it's just
Do cars have license plates
yes.
in the future?
Not like ours, like, but there are almost like bars, almost like a barcode type thing.
So, because I would just snap some photographs through my eyes for the cars that Sleaze are being taken into. Like, I'm just gonna, not broadcasting it because nobody needs to know where we are right now, but I'm on break screen, but I'm going to just sort of snap some footage of Sleaze being taken away so I can at least see who the people are that are taking him away and what the vehicles are in case we need to rescue him later, but also we don't like him and he's not our friend. But just in case, I'm gonna just...
You can snap all of those. You can definitely get all of those images. And as you move closer and closer, I will say, Cantor, and Hybria as well, you start to recognize the walkway that whatever it was you saw walking along. You can't get a truck, obviously, on the walkway and down the alleyways, but you recognize that path that you walk down. And Hybria, you see that flicker of that advert of a smiling man holding a drink, reaching out to any passerby.
So we are driving down the alley that Zarina was walking down.
You're sort of driving alongside it, and you can see where the alley that Zarina would have gone down. You can't go any further. It's just a walkway. So you'd have to pull up.
Yeah, I'm like, Loxy, I think we need to get out. Don't ask me how I saw it. I don't know the full details of the situation yet, but I recognize this place, and Zarina was here. We need to go and find her.
All right, I'll keep the van running. But
Thank
we can
you.
go out.
The minute the van stops, I'm out the back door. Like, the minute. Like, I don't even necessarily know which direction I'm going, but the minute the van stops, I am out the door.
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, Cantor, if he would see Livewire jump out of the van and head in the wrong direction, Cantor would just reach out and grab Livewire and point and start to run down the street with Livewire.
And Loxy, you can have like a track effect. I'd say you can definitely have one on Cantor. She registered, so you can see Cantor moving. So you'd be able almost to pull along, like at least around buildings to follow where it all is.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be doing that.
For the
I see them
record,
running.
I'm wearing hospital booties. I just want you to know.
I'll look at Loxy and I say, should I stay with you or should I go with them? Do you need backup here? I worry about leaving you here alone since there seem to be a lot of forces that are coming after us.
I think I'll be okay if you want to go look for Zarina.
Okay, please take care of yourself. I have very much appreciated your friendship and our time together.
Same. You as well. Be safe out there.
And I am wearing probably boots that look like they're combat boots, but they have a really big platform and they're like this red color with like black buckles. So it's making really like boop, 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 boop when I run.
That echo on the metal, Loxy, you can definitely hear Hybria go.
Loxy's gonna flip a couple switches on the dashboard, and the color of the car is going to change, and the logo's gonna disappear. And then she's just gonna like ping them to be like, okay, van's red now.
Yep, you can switch everything up are you continuously moving or are you parking up?
I think I guess it depends on how fast everyone else is moving, because I want to be able to find a nice intersection where I can pick them up on the go if need be.
Okay, I'd say you know these roads pretty well, so you know that you could follow around the buildings and there's going to be, even if it's not meant for cars, you could definitely fit your truck down there if needs be. Okay. Zarina, you are walking down these alleyways, and as you do, you hear almost like this crackle and this surge of sparks, almost like like a live wire, as it sort of shoots down the side, and there's almost like this explosion of orange and yellow sparks above you.
Yeah,
and
that
it's
doesn't
definitely
sound good.
from behind.
Instead of turning around, because that's real obvious, are there any reflective surfaces that I could...
I would say with the explosion of all of these lights, one of the billboards would have definitely gone out.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the ones higher up. It was only a small billboard. It looks to be like a sign advertising. It's almost like a new clothing range. It's a very, very small sign. It's got a very circular logo, but it goes out and it just goes that very sort of clear black, like a computer screen when it goes down.
Yeah, she wants to look behind her in the reflection rather than turning around to look, because that's a lot more subtle.
You sort of keep moving and you glance up to your left at this screen. And behind you, you can still see the reflections of some of the billboards that are lit, and just a silhouette in the far corner who now has also stopped moving. You can definitely, in fact, roll an intellect check and see how much you can see of this person.
Okay.
Difficulty 2, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. 16.
You see this almost like a very sort of outlined shadow. The only sort of definition you see is from what the slight glance of light across one side of the face. And this is definitely a human. This isn't a Tellurian. This isn't anything else. Looks to stand maybe 5'8".
Okay, and not particularly modded.
You would definitely sense there is not a single mod.
That's unsettling. I will begin to walk a little faster while they've stopped and are looking at this kaput outage.
You can see that they're very slim in frame, very lean. That's probably all you can really get from the actual reflection, but you can tell there's no mods. You're not picking up anything off of you that can actually sense anything on this person. And that's when you start to hear the song whistled. And there's a moment as you walk down this corridor, this alleyway, you realize there are no people at all, very much like before.
Okay, that's fine.
The one person you do see, you can see at the end, it looks to be someone that's just propped themselves up. They seem to have been mid-eating or drinking something. They've almost completely frozen in place.
No. Frozen like they're holding still, or frozen like that one time in the hospital frozen?
Frozen like that one time in the hospital frozen.
Okay. That's fine. I'll just walk towards them then, because...
You continue to walk.
Normal. Yeah.
And as you do,
power walk. It's like a light power walk at this point.
You can definitely light power walk. Yes.
Alice, I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt you. We're going to jump and redo cameras real quick and be right back. Hold on, everybody.
Yes. No worries. Be back. And as we have this, and Serena, you're moving, you're doing that little like quick walk.
Yeah, like I've got places to be. I'm going to get to them all before they close.
Yeah, it's like a proper power walk, like you get moving. And the thing you do notice, however, is this person does not increase the speed of their own walk. You can hear it almost echoing those footsteps, one by one, walking down this alleyway. And then you hear that surge again. And there's one more reflective surface up above where the power out definitely hit it. You can see this person stop dead where they are. And there seems to be a flash where their eyes would be. And you watch a hand come up and close the fist. And the entire alleyway, every single billboard, you just see doof, doof, as they set, they just all back out on the way in a row until the last one, as you look up and you see that figure. And that last billboard goes out.
Yeah. I've increased from a light power walk to a, a jog, a light run. Like, it's really dark out here tonight.
Speedy run, sprint, escape.
Not quite a sprint, because I don't know how long I'm going to have to run, so.
You can hear behind you almost like a complete silence. A complete silence. And then
like another vital signs check. Just boop.
You hear footsteps. Slowly getting faster and faster, and then you can definitely hear as someone breaks into a run. And you are running through this alleyway. It is completely pitch black.
At this point, she's really glad one of her hobbies is like cardio.
The strange thing is you can't hear this person breathing. You can still hear the song, but they are sprinting down this
We've
alleyway
just got it on like a
towards you.
speaker. She's not gonna think about it too hard.
Are you making any sound at all?
Well, if I'm running, I imagine I'm making some sound.
Got a little metal on you.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a.
You start to sprint.
Mhm.
You can hear it behind you. You can hear the song almost echoing like too loudly in your ears right now. You're picking up almost like the absence of any form of electrical appliance right now. There is nothing. It's like everything has been fully shut down. And Livewire, Hybria, and Cantor, you are stood in this moment as you're moving, as you almost step maybe sort of a couple of meters into these alleyways. That's when for you as well, the doof doof doof, as all of the huge screens go out. What would you do?
So I have a thing about endurance. Yeah, I can do things for longer, so I just want to sprint full hardcore, like I'm following where the billboards are going out because I'm assuming that's where the bad things are happening. But also occasionally like looking back at Cantor to like check which direction he's pointing in, if he's still pointing.
Cantor's going to ignite his hands in that blue electricity he uses, and you would see an electric-clad finger pointing in the direction.
Nice.
What about Livewire?
Oh, running. Like, Livewire is a man on a mission, right? Like, he is going to find Zarina. He's going to find Zarina. Like, he's just full on going. It's very intense, is what I would say. Like, it's a very intense. He has that look in his eyes. You can't see it. He's going fast, and like he's gripping this chain, and there's probably going to be violence. Like, that's the vibe that you get from him at this moment.
The three of you are sprinting. This is completely pitch black. There is no natural light in Nalmerius at all, let alone at this time of the evening. You've got Livewire. I'll say Livewire, you're not at the back, but you can feel, you've just grown your bones back. So if anything, you're feeling.
But I feel like I don't care.
This chain.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I don't think you care either. I'm just saying you feel it.
Yes.
And you're brandishing this chain as you run. You've got Cantor sprinting at the back. This blue light is almost a strange haze that is kind of picking out the corners of the street, showing where like the trash cans are, where everything is as you sort of move through. Hybria, you are like on a mission in these like platforms, and you just, if anything, they're giving you extra distance. As you
Got some air.
sprint, you get some air as you all sprint, with Cantor reached up front directing you, and you turn left, you turn right, you go up, you go down. This is a maze at this place as it goes. And Zarina, could you roll me a speed check, please, as you hear those footsteps get louder and louder?
Yes, I can roll you a speed check. I'm using advantage on that speed check. Oh, 4. It's a 4.
Okay. I'm gonna I'll offer you a GM intrusion.
Ooh. Oh man, I'm so tempted to not, but I probably should. Let's take it. Let's stress out. I just really want to stress out Trooper. So yes, I'll take the GM intrusion.
No, I appreciate it.
It's because you stressed me out at the beginning.
That's fine. This is our relationship.
Okay.
Yes, I will take
We
your
will-
GM intrusion.
Okay. you can hear those footsteps get louder and louder. They start sort of almost, you can hear your own heartbeat drumming in your ears. You're pretty sure it's a lot of your machinery going into overdrive. It's like, if machinery could have anxiety, that is what is happening right now. Is everything is starting
I have to
to
turn
work.
the dial up on my lung capacity a bit. Yeah.
And you notice, yes, it's because of how a lot of your life signs are going, but you also realize the closer this person gets, the more that your machinery is starting to warp.
Oh, that's
It's
real bad.
starting to like glitch out. You can feel how breathless you are becoming. There's this moment of like they're right behind you, and for some reason they are not grabbing hold of you.
Yeah, it's because
But
if I stop breathing, they don't have to. So, you know. yeah, that's fine. And because I got 1 XP and I get to give an XP to someone else.
Yes, you can.
I'll give it to Trooper to make up a little bit.
Oh.
And as you do, you can hear these footsteps get closer and closer. It's almost like you can feel like how muscles would seize up. It's like your machinery where your legs are going, they're seizing up, and you're becoming breathless, and it's not something you've experienced in a very long time.
Yeah.
And you suddenly realize your whole body just goes rigid until you stop dead in place.
Okay.
And these footsteps stop.
At that
right
point, she's just going to focus on breathing.
And he stops right behind you. And you hear that song. And he sort of leans his head forward over your shoulder. Deep breaths as he sort of just has a moment, and he stays there. Loxy, you're in the car and you're moving you're moving this truck around you. You've definitely got the tracker on Cantor, and his little light is just like going all over the place. You know it's because there's different alleyways and different smaller walkways, but you manage to start maneuvering the truck sort of around. Could you roll me an intellect check, please? Intellect, straight up.
Okay. Ooh, that's not great. An advantage. Let's do an advantage. That's better. 14.
14. Okay, so you're driving, you're having a lot of these problems where you're maneuvering around. You're now entering this point where cars probably aren't supposed to go, but you look like a sort of like a removal truck. So at the moment, there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, just letting you through. But you are sort of maneuvering as you go through. You're watching the light and you're darting and looking at the screen. And there's a moment where you look up in the mirror at the top, and there is someone sat in the back seat, almost as if they're starting to phase in. And I think that's where, if it's all right with you, Greg, we'll take a break and then we'll have a quick break and come back to that.
It is absolutely not okay with me. We'll be back.
My worst nightmare.
Oh, hi everyone, we're back. And as we are with Loxy in the back of the car. As Loxy, as you are driving and maneuvering through these streets, you can see this fizzle of this image of a person sort of slowly, almost like fading in the back of your car. Long blonde hair, dead straight, white clothing, you recognize them from the garage almost straight away. However, what you do recognize is very much like Cantor's eyes. They are completely white. There are no pupils, there are no nothing. She doesn't seem to be 100% here. That's why you think she's almost phasing in and out. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna try to talk to her. Just driving and looking in the rearview, looking at my GPS, looking in the rearview, I'm gonna say, what are you doing here?
And you can see at first it's almost like when you're tuning into a call, like the audio's not there yet. You see her lips moving and you can hear it sort of breaking in and out, and it sounds quite rushed, like almost like a very breathless. She sat very still, but if anything, you would guess she is running. It's that sort of breathlessness. And it's like, can you hear me? Is anyone there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
And there's another moment where her lips move, but nothing comes out. And then again, it's like, you're Loxy.
Yeah, how do you know that?
It's like, and there's again, those lips move. It's like, you can't let, phases in and out, him touch, as it sort of breaks. And you have that moment and you hear Cantor's name.
I can't let him touch Cantor?
Yes, it's just like it's breaking in and out. You hear certain words, but from it you have this moment, it's like, cannot touch, cannot reach. Do not let them have contact.
Okay, I have a lot of questions for you, but this might not be the best time. And Loxy's gonna like push a couple buttons on the steering wheel, and send a text to Livewire that says, don't let that guy touch Cantor. If you can, don't let him touch anyone.
And almost as you say that, you have this second where you can look, and she is phasing in and out. It's like a very bad, almost like reception, like a hologram phone call. Though she does seem to be 100% sat in the back of this car, and she is like, her lips are moving like she's having a very rushed and panicked conversation, trying to tell you things. And I will let you roll an intellect check if you want to see if you can gather more information of her, but you will need to roll, and it'll have to be a roll, it can't be a crit.
Dang
A
it.
4. If you roll a 4.
Okay.
There is something on her you could see.
Okay.
You've used effort.
I am gonna use effort. Difficulty 4, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Do you have any abilities that would help you?
I mean... Not
skills?
really.
We're not in the van, Trooper, and we're not on screen.
My skills are all, they're just, I'm just really good at machines. It's 3 effort to bring it down to, 3 from your pool to bring it down 1, right?
Yeah.
But if I have an edge, then it's only 2, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna use 2. I'm gonna use 4 points from my pool.
You can only spend 1 level.
I can only spend it once?
because we're
Okay, then 2. I'm still figuring this out.
yeah. It's 'cause
Okay.
we're up tier.
Okay.
It's a success.
Yes. As you're sort of trying to maneuver this, you can see that she too is pointing in directions almost to go, and it's not the usual directions that you yourself would choose, but you notice these pathways are clear, and they're not usually The other thing is you see her static, almost as she completely fades out, is the pendant around her neck of a small cog that moves sort of slightly out of her jacket as she leans forward, and her mouth opens almost in a scream with her hand outreach. You don't hear it, and there's a massive static, almost surge, and she disappears.
I'll just follow the route that she was pointing out.
Okay.
And make a note of that pendant.
You can see in front of you, which you know would get you through, is this huge sort of gate, almost like a wire gate with it sort of chained up, and you can see some locks, and it is in your way. What would you like to do?
Chain locks in my way. Is it clear above it?
Yes.
I push a button on my car, and my car goes.
Mm-hmm.
And
There's
go
only
over
this
it.
much gap. There's only this much gap. You can't get
shit.
full car.
I mean,
over the
sorry.
top of it.
What? So is it just like a chain lock, or is it a machine?
It's it looks like a simple chain lock. You think it's normally where people keep like the bins and things like that, all the trash cans and stuff behind there, but you know this is she seems to have directed you in this direction through a quicker alleyway to get to the others. You can actually see on your the little map in front, Cantor seems to be moving alongside, just on the other side of the building.
Alright, I'm just gonna smash through it then.
Roll a might check for me, please.
Oh no, that's my worst one!
Or speed on how to control the car. You just need to describe to me how you're controlling the car.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright. That one was speed, which is much better for me. So, as I'm approaching the gate, and I notice that the lock isn't mechanical or anything that I could deactivate from afar, I just gun it. The engine just roars, and I go forward as fast as I can in that short amount of distance, and I ram the gate open.
Yeah, you have that moment when, as we've been saying, there's a little bird behind the wheel. As you're going, you sort of pull it back, and it's more that you know how to maneuver your car quick. You step back, you start pressing some of the buttons, and you slam that accelerator down. You can hear some yells like, "Oi!" like as that happens, and you take that car forward. It crashes through this gate. You take the hinges off the side of the wall, and it sort of, you drag it a little ways. It sort of moves up over your truck and sort of falls back behind as you dive down this almost pitch black alleyway. You can definitely turn your lights on, and you can create these beams of lights that blaze
Before I
down
turn
there.
the light on, I'm gonna push that button and change the color of the van again, just in case.
Yeah. You can absolutely do that.
It's now a dark blue.
Livewire, Hybria, and Cantor. Cantor, you can tell that you're very, very close now. You'll think you're maybe 1 or 2 turns away, and you can tell that he has stopped. You can also tell that Zarina has stopped, and it's almost like they've overlapped as how close they're stood.
We're almost there. When we get there, I'll get him off of them.
No, honey, you can't touch him at all. I just got word from Loxy. You can't touch him at all. None of us should, says Angela Bassett.
Do I hear this?
Yes, you definitely hear. I'd say you're both running. All three
Okay.
of you are tearing. You've just got this blue light led by Cantor, but you are weaving through these corridors.
I want to say, like, I'm wearing this, right? It's like this tight red sleeveless thing. So I'm like running, and I hear this, and I just look at Cantor, and I just flex, and you see like a significant, like, finely toned muscle, and then I just wink, and I'm like, for Zarina, I will get this. Or is it, I got this? I have gotten this. I will be getting this.
Yes.
Run, run, run.
And you, all three of you, sprint. Cantor, you're up ahead, guiding with the light. And as you turn round, you can see down the end of that corridor as your hand swings out that blue light. And at the other end, You can see Zarina. You can't see anyone else there. Zarina, you're stood there.
I
You can
imagine
feel this-
due to my electronics malfunctioning, 'cause I'm never not emitting a slight glow at this point.
Oh yeah,
Imagine
no,
it's, like,
that's
flickering.
how they see you. That's
Yeah.
how like they see you down this alleyway. They can see this glow.
I imagine it's a
And-
flickery glow right now because of what's happening. So
You can feel the breath on your neck as he says it again. Just breathe. And you can feel his head turn. Your friends are here. Perfect timing. And he starts to move from behind you, almost to stand in front of you. And he looks at you and he tips his head. And he looks past you. I will say the rest of you, you can't see this. You can just see Zarina, who seems to have, solidified and halted. And this very almost wiry face smiles and looks towards you. And that head bobs to the side. And he holds out his hand. A gift. And he touches sort of just here where your collarbone is, and you feel like a pulse, like an electrical pulse goes through you.
Oh no.
And you just almost feel like it's almost like it not resets everything, but it's like as it almost like sends like a shudder. And you drop to the floor. It's almost like you're gasping. You can still breathe, but you're gasping for breath.
Yeah.
Hybria, Cantor, and Livewire, you can see Zarina drop. You see no one in front of her at all.
Can I still sense?
You can sense him, but it's almost like it's fading.
Then Cantor would continue to point, and as he's continuing to point, slowing down, he's still there.
I don't slow down. I go immediately to Zarina. Like, that's like...
And Danny DeVito enters the scene.
Yeah, Danny DeVito. And I understand that, like, I hear, like, in the back of... Like, I hear Cantor say he's still there, but Zarina just dropped. And that's...
And Zarina, you feel like very solid. Like, you feel like almost like weak, like you can't move your limbs yourself or anything. And he reaches out and he takes your head and he just turns it to look towards Livewire, who is currently running towards you.
All Danny DeVito style.
And he whispers, "Look closer." And there's just a moment of flash where you see your fiance running towards you, and then it goes again. Almost a split second. And then you just feel his hands drop away. And I will say, Cantor, you can't see him anymore. It's like he completely phases out. And Zarina, you just poof, like it's like he was holding you up. You're still breathing, you're still awake, but it's almost like you fall completely forwards.
It's like system rebooting. There's like the little progress bar. Yeah. Everything's super glitchy. Just flashing, little warning lights blinking.
Yeah,
I'm like looking around, still like looking at Cantor, trying to find this guy so I can
And
rub
she'll
him
try to
off.
keep her eyes on this punk after he lets go.
You see him walk down the other end, and this Cantor, you're the only one who sees this as well. You almost see it in like a blue light, like a static. You see him slowly walk away as if he slowly phases out. And Zarina, he turns back and he just has that smile on his face. And he starts to sing again. The "We'll Meet Again." Cantor, sorry, go on.
Do I have a chance to say anything, or does
You have a chance to say something, but you can't see. Like, he's literally all...
As he's walking off, Cantor would stop moving. He would lower the finger that he had been pointing with this whole time, and with his eyes still in that that ghost-like world, he would scream, "Pure!"
And as you say that, it's almost like he turns and looks towards you, and the look on his face is a mixture of almost like there's a smile there, but there is anger as you say that, and almost just a he's gone.
Could I posit something? I know Zarina, and I've known her for quite some time, and I imagine that I've known her in good times and bad times. I imagine I've known her when she's had mechanical problems before. I would like to posit. When you date someone who needs an EpiPen, or who has like really bad allergies, these various things that actually how to. You know what to do when somebody who is epileptic goes into epileptic shots, because maybe people don't know, but if you've dated someone who's epilepsy, or you're really good friends with someone who's epilepsy, when they start having a fit, you know exactly what to do. I would like to posit that Livewire knows what to do when Zarina goes into shutdown, and I would like to go into immediate action, that's a military term for when your rifle's jammed, right? That you basically, there are immediate things that you do when somebody's in that space, and I would like to, because I don't care about other dude, I care about Zarina. I'm going to want to immediately go in and sort of trip her, sort of recycle and do the things that you need to do when somebody who's dismodded and also has lung problems is going through problems. Like, I feel like he knows how to do it.
From this that there is, it's almost like the best way to describe it is like a kick, like you have with what's I'm gonna call it, the paddles. It's like you give another shock to try and stabilize it. She's probably gonna pass out as you do it, and there's gonna need to be some, not modifications, but repair. But you're probably going to want to do this in a completely safe place, because it's going to happen. But I'd say that most people with mods that this heavily modded would have something like this on them. It's kind of like a small disc that you sort of attach across your palm and your hand, and you just bam, like you find the main thing and it sends it through.
I would say I know where she keeps that emergency disc. And so what I would like to do is immediately go, maybe the disc is like, maybe it's by her mask, right? Maybe it's slipped there, sort of slip it out, and then immediately give her sort of the first aid jolt so that she'll be okay.
I almost as Cantor screams this through the alleyway. One, Loxy, you hear it, it's so loud. But Livewire, you almost are deafened to it as you stand in this alleyway trying to bring Zarina back. This is not a good position for Zarina to be in. What does it look like between the both of you as you're in this alleyway?
Zarina's not been in this exact situation before, but there have been mods that don't compute well with her other mods. She's been in very similar situations, just with, maybe slight less antagonistic danger. And so she's just focused on, I think she can kind of redirect power a little bit to certain systems. It's all redirected to her breather filter. And she's just focusing on that, but she is watching the guy leave, and then she's looking and kind of confused suspiciously at Livewire, but she doesn't say anything. She's focusing.
And I just immediately rush in, and my hand immediately goes towards the rebreather and pulls out the little disc where it's sort of kept, where people keep their EpiPen, right? And I slip it out. I'm like, all right, Rena, you just stay with me, and I just place the disc right at her main sort of power core, wherever that might be on her.
And as that happens, Zarina, you look towards Livewire for a moment, and you do see Danny DeVito again. Basically, this isn't the face you just saw. As that pulse goes through you, and you feel your eyes just roll back.
Yeah, she's wondering if what that guy did to her is a glitch, was a hologram, but he knew where to grab the first aid disc, and and then everything goes dark.
And like, you know, the last thing you would hear is him saying, "Stay with me, Rena. Stay with me. It'll be okay." And the minute she's
the rest
out,
of you, I was going to
like,
say, you just see it go limp.
scoop her up right in a princess carry, and I'm like, "Where's Loxy?" Although you wouldn't hear that, you'd have a different voice.
What is Hybria doing right now as this is happening?
So she would have just seen Zarina on the ground, Livewire's attending to her, so she kind of like trails after Cantor, and then he just screams into the nothingness. And she's like, she'll like slow her pace and like come up behind him and just kind of like hesitantly like look at him and put a hand on her shoulder again and Cantor?
Yeah.
You just screamed very loudly at nothing.
I ping Loxy. Like, I don't know, do not care. Like, Zarina, I'm like, Loxy, where are you? Where are you? I need you right now.
I'm on my way.
I was gonna say, as you say, I'm on my way. You will all hear an absolute crash, and you can see a fence being dragged through the side of one of the alleyways as you come past. The fence is kind of, when it gets lodged on the top of something because you've gone through it. You can hear alerts going off from somewhere. It's probably because Loxy has gone through the quickest route. But this truck comes almost bursting into this alleyway. And little bird Loxy is behind the wheel.
Loxy pushes a button, all the doors fling open.
I'll kind of reach a hand out. I don't Cantor seems kind of out of it, so I'll just kind of take my hand again and sort of put it inside of his hand in a comforting gesture that I learned, but you get the sense that I've never actually done this before, and grip and then be like, Cantor, Loxy is here. We should get going.
And Livewire's already booking, this is it, and there's it's a very intense urgency right there.
Loxy, you're greeted with the scene of Livewire in a leather jacket, hospital gown, hat, carrying Zarina, who is completely limp. There's nothing there. All of the lights, apart from her mask, you can see a very soft, dull light where she's breathing, but otherwise everything else is off.
Mm-hmm.
And for the audience, Livewire looks a little bit like Don Johnson from Miami Vice for Loxy when she's got her AR on. Car dude. And he rushes in and is like, you have to repair her. You have to repair her.
Okay, Cantor, can you get behind the wheel?
Yeah. Whenever Hybria was leading them to the van, with a comforting gesture that Cantor liked, he would also remember that just recently he had held the hands of a woman in white and been walked through the city. So it pings a memory that he's not sure when that occurred, but as you go up, he would look over at Hybria and go, that's Loxy's van.
Yes, it is. We are doing a getaway.
Okay.
In a dramatic fashion.
And you hear an alarm going off somewhere, which definitely comes from a store.
And then armed with that information, I would assume that right at that moment, Loxy would say, take the wheel. And Cantor just, okay. And just gets up and sits down and gets ready to drive.
I'd probably get in the front seat because at this point I feel like I'm just keeping an eye on Cantor because, one minute we were getting burgers and the next, big dramatic life story, things are intertwined, he knows something about my brother maybe, so yeah, I'm just
I'm in the back and I've laid Zarina out on one of the benches, and I have made space so that Loxy can take care of her, but I'm holding her hand.
Okay. You can definitely sort of sit in the back, Loxy. You can be climbing with all your feathers over into the back as Cantor is trying to get in.
Picturing, just crawling over.
You sort of dive into the back seat, and you know that all of this you can probably fix, but she's going to need to be effectively hooked up to like electricity and things like that, so you need a base to go to, but you can at least stabilize her for now. Hybria, you get in the front and you've got Cantor in the front as well. You can hear some alarms going off. You can hear some watchers that seem to be coming down one of the alleyways. You've still got the gate half attached to you, but it's starting to fall off. It'll fall off if you keep moving. Cantor, where are you driving?
Cantor is
away or
well. Cantor's gonna. The only thing that he can remember really well in the city is how to get to the garage and how to get to his place. So he's gonna go to his place, and he would. I'll ask Erica. Erica, would Cantor know Loxie's trick with turning the van different colors?
I think you might have done it once or twice. We've had some shenanigans.
Sure, okay.
Shenanigans.
I'm sure.
if there's been a pre-shenanigan phase, then okay. What he's gonna do is, as he would drive like through the alleyway, if there's like a watcher that comes up or somebody he can get close enough to, like a guard or a watch person, he would kind of like lean out the window and kind of get his gray hair and go, "Hooligans driving some type of craft just came through here."
The watch just stops as you're still moving. It's almost like that weird glance as you go past, where you sort of meet each other as you go. But they're sprinting in the direction of where Loxie, where the gate was and everything else that was going on.
And Livewire is just whispering. Come on, stay with me. Come on, stay with me, Rena. You'll be okay. Stay with me. Stay with me.
And Loxie, you can work on Zarina in the back as Cantor and Hybria sit in front in the most awkward situation in the front, as you pull away.
Loxie sort of reaches under the driver's seat into a compartment where there's a bunch of smaller tools used specifically for mods that might not be used on like a car or a vehicle, to sort of she's never implanted, but she has like repaired some maybe sketchy mods before. Just like flipping through her goggles to get like the most crisp image of the machinery that she can get.
Okay. And you can work away. Cantor, where are you taking them, and what does it look like upon arrival? As you have to sort of do a hook turn and sort of join the traffic again, and you head back through the district. But what does Cantor's district and place that you're pulling up to look like?
Well, Cantor would wheel around and do the typical, like, as soon as he reaches a blind spot where he can dip beneath like a tunnel or something of that nature, he would cycle through several of the different versions of the van just to look differently. He would go into a tunnel, switch the color, come back out the same way he went in, just kind of, muddying the trail a bit. He would do this unconsciously. But instead of turning back towards the, no offense, like the rougher section of the city where the garage and kind of is on the periphery, he heads into the nice part of town. And by this, he means up. And so he would begin to kind of lift up with the van until he pulls into this incredibly modern looking garage structure that has forked lifts that seem to grab in place and wait to be kind of settled with a vehicle. And without thinking, he would drop the van onto one of those and then take his hands off the wheel as he would flash some type of credential, and they would be sucked inside this very opulent building and begin to lift up internally towards a higher floor.
Wait, would Loxie have been to your place before? I feel like not.
No.
I think Hybria's in the front seat, like, watching everything, and somewhat in a daze, she'll just be like, yes, the car storage garage, 4800. My parents had the same device. Useful.
Yep.
And you can watch
Loxie's-
some of these like cars being stored, almost like as they're sort of I don't know if you've like in Tokyo where they lift them up and they slot them into like blocks. That's where your van goes. Loxy, you can definitely get all your stuff out before then, but you're all currently on a big heavy platform which is just going up, and it is going up high.
There's a
And
moment where
Go on.
Loxy's like working and looks at the garage that they're pulling into and looks back down and has to look back up at it. And Cantor, you live here? This is why did we come here? Is this where?
Why did we come here?
And then with Loxy questioning him, Cantor has to think a moment for himself. Am I in the right? Yeah, this is my house.
You live here?
Yeah.
It is a lovely property. One of the nicest I've seen on Almerius.
Thank you.
I'm just now realizing I've never seen where you lived.
Welcome.
Thank you.
What?
And as you do, you go up higher and higher, and this is going up high in the building. And as you do, one or two people get off on this sort of flat thing, and you can see one very sharply dressed gentleman, and also sort of equally sharply dressed Tellurian, who is sort of like has to duck to get underneath and into these. And he's just like, "Sir," and they sort of get off, and this almost slides along. It doesn't just go up; it up slides and moves until it reaches a door. Cantor, one, you normally let in by retina and fingerprint. And the huge 2 double doors open onto your apartment. What does your apartment look like?
He would submit to the retina scan, but he would produce a small kind of circle of plastic metal, and he would put that over the fingerprint identification. And as the door would kind of pop open, it would be almost entirely glass on the exterior side. Very expensive and uncomfortable couches and chairs are kind of minimally spaced in this wide loft area. Everything would look perfect. No dust, no dirt, no cast aside clothes, except for one corner. And in one corner, there is a rolled up, what looks like a bedroll. And there are several Fast Mac packages kind of scattered around. A few kind of traditional journals, like handwritten journals. Inside, nothing but drawings, sketches, and a stack of fingerless gloves. Welcome to my house.
I'm just carrying Zarina. My whole thing is carrying Zarina, looking for a place where there's access to electricity where she can be laid down. I'm on a mission, and my mission is not paying attention to what this apartment looks like, although I'll probably pay attention to that later because interesting. But right now it's just like, no, where do I put Zarina? Where can she be worked on? Where will she be safe?
As soon as he would walk in, he would again produce that coin, that plastic coin, and put it against one of the house interior pads, and he would put it across and move it to kind of take in the 5 points of finger articulation or 5 print points. And then as soon as a readout would appear, he would say, "Medical emergency." And you would see a room illuminate off to the side, and you would see a bed, much like the one that we removed Livewire inside.
Oh, it's just like beeline, immediately sort of place her, and it's that kind of there's like a particular rhythm to the movement where it's like fast and urgent, but the minute you get to the bed itself, you just slow right back down and you very gently sort of place Zarina. And also just making sure her head is protected and doesn't flop.
I will say all of this looks, and definitely to Loxy as well, this looks fully kitted out. This is not just any old sort of
Secret
repair
medical
medical
room.
station.
This is very impressive.
There's no place like home.
Loxy, still holding onto her hand, like it's very clear that anxiousness is still there. It's like no time to take in the sights or the elevators. Like it's just like because he's also not a doctor, right, or a mechanic, and so there's nothing he can do. He can just look with all of the urgency to Loxy.
And Loxy will go, as soon as Zarina's down, go over to her and see if there's anything she can do.
This looks to be almost like you need to effectively plug Zarina in, and it's more to just give constant flow to the machines whilst you fix it. You can see a lot of things have surged. You can definitely fix this. If you could roll me an intellect check just to see how long it takes you as this happens.
Don't we still have crits that might be expiring at the end of this episode?
Oh, good call. Can I use a crit right now?
Yeah, you can.
Also,
What is it? Yes?
Fun fact, I have special healing requirements, which
Mhm.
means I don't ever fully get to my full might pool unless I get maintenanced. So this is very convenient.
Mm-hmm. What does this room look like with Zarina, Livewire, and Loxy? What does it look like as you sort of work away? Like, how does Loxy do it?
Loxy will find whatever plug and port she needs to
I will point out where they are.
Get-
I will point out where they all are.
So,
There's a few new ones.
as I'm like pulling ones out to attach to Zarina, I'm following Livewire's lead. And if
No.
there's some other ones that like she picks up on the goggles that maybe Livewire doesn't know about.
And he will just say at one point, he'll say, "She's had so much more work done."
Loxy's just going to ignore that. And she's also going to see if there's anything that might be like outputting data to somewhere that she doesn't want it to go.
On the crit, you can see it doesn't look like any output of data, of specific data. You can see a tracker on Zarina, though.
Ooh. I would like to try and... Zarina's still unconscious, right?
Oh, yeah. I will say you can remove it on that using a crit. You can definitely remove the tracker.
Yeah. I'll remove it, but I'll keep it nearby and ask her about it when she comes to.
Okay. And you can just sort of work away.
What is that? What is that? Like, they make you remove something. I'm like, what is that?
This is a tracker. I don't know if it's something that someone else put on her or if it's her own. That's why I'm setting it aside. I don't want to... As long as I can reattach it if she wants it.
Can you put it in a Faraday cage? Something so that it can't signal in or out just in case?
Yeah. I'll try to block it.
Okay.
And I'll see if there's some... If I have something or if I can do something to it to temporarily block the output of tracking.
I will say that you can tell it's very similar to the one that was on the bike when you first started back then. I will say that you would have had your tools with you because a lot of them are in the back of the van, so you won't need to worry about any of that. Did you bring George? I can't remember. Didn't
Yes.
we put
George
in a
definitely
case?
made in the car.
Yeah,
So we
okay.
probably would have emptied out.
Yeah.
You have George
Everything.
and also the stuff from the bike, right? Like you got all the
Yeah, I
important
grabbed
stuff.
the thing that looked like a battery that I was using to run malware.
Yeah. Okay. So you can definitely get. So in that room, the three of you are sort of there and working away. Hybria and Cantor, what are you doing? And you've got this huge window that looks out over the top of Nalmirius. And I'll say up here, you can see they're mostly fake, but you can see a lot of fake gardens and parks that seem to be on these big platforms, sort of drifting past. You can see people with like taken some form of like one of their pets out for a walk on this little patch and seem to be moving around or sat on a bench. It's almost like moving scenery where people can go and enjoy things, and the air is a lot clearer up here.
Yeah, I think what I'm seeing is Hybria just kind of wandering in, half sees Livewire, knowing she can't do anything in that room. She's just going to stay in this room and kind of I Cantor. And she's like running a hand along one of the expensive, uncomfortable looking couches, and she'll just look around and say, "It has been some time since I was at home, but I must say these furnishings do remind me of my family home, and it is both comforting and also not comforting, knowing what they are chasing me or us, or they are involved in something."
While
Are you all right?
Yeah, while you're talking, Cantor goes over to that one corner that seems to have like the only sign of life in the place, and he would reach down and pick the journal off the top of the stack, and he would just kind of be absently kind of cycling through the pages. And when you ask him if he's okay, he would look up and just say, "My home is your home. I'm okay."
Thank you. I do appreciate that. A home with friends is much more preferable to a home with whatever my parents are. And she will come and very delicately, and gracefully just fold down into a cross-legged position in front of Cantor and say, "If you do not mind me asking, what is that in there?"
Indicating the journal, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
It's just things just to help me remember. And he would, because of the trust that he feels for Ibria, he would turn the journal around, and you would see written there, "This is your place. You live here. Your name is Cantor. There's no place like home. My home is your home." Just to remind myself.
This is your home, and your name is Cantor. And as events would have it, you asked me to remind you of something that you have now forgotten. So I think now that we are presumably safe, it is the time to have that conversation.
Red. I need red. There would be a red journal next in the stack.
I pass it to you?
There are pencils and styluses everywhere, and he just grabs one and opens it up to a blank page. What did I forget?
So, I do not know the full details, but when we were at the Fast Max, you knew the manager there. Mac. Yes. He took us into a room and... oh my gosh, my memory is failing me. I don't remember. We all saw the vision, right? Or it was in a security tape?
Cantor saw the vision of the airship crashing. However, Hybria, you recognize your brother in the photo, and you were told that Cantor was the teacher.
And then I think you also got that from the friend, right, from Mac, about how they knew each other in the past, but all the erasing of the memory, and that this had happened, right? So you have that relationship, that something about that relationship.
I just couldn't remember if I had seen the airship myself or if she knew that part. So I guess she'll just say, "It seems as though there is some sort of history between you and Mac. You were teachers, I believe, and one of your students was my esteemed older brother, Liwei Zhenfang Archer."
Archer.
Yes.
He's writing down as you say this.
Yes, and something happened, and then you took Mac's memory, and then we escaped in our first getaway of the day. Today's the same day, right? Yeah.
He would write all this down, and when he sees that you're done saying everything, he would put the journal down, but he would leave it open, and you would notice that the handwriting between the two journals is completely different.
I don't know what any of this means, and she'll kind of like look meaningfully at the two different handwriting journals, and then kind of repeat herself. I don't know what any of this means, but I do know that you have saved my life. You have been a support and a friend and have trusted me, which is remarkably different from what I've had in my life previously. So I am here with you to help you remember.
He, again, you could see that trust in his gaze, that almost like port in a storm type of thing. And he would tap the journal that he had, and he would say the first one, and he would say the one that says this is his house and his name. These are things it's safe to remember. And then he taps the red. These are things that aren't safe to remember.
She'll look lingeringly at the red notebook again and back up at Cantor and say, if you have trust in me, which I understand if you don't. My family has been involved in some things I do not even know. But if you do have trust in me, and if you would like me to keep these memories for you, I do not think we will be separated for some time. I could read this if you wanted, and so I could be nearby in case you need to access a memory.
He thinks for a second, but then he closes the red journal. Thanks, but I don't want to have to make you forget.
She'll kind of give a bit of a rueful nod and smile. She says, it seems I have forgotten quite a lot already, but I understand. This is a nice view.
He would sit down. You said that she had kind of like crisscross applesauce and sat down.
Mm.
He would sit down in the same way beside, and you'd hear the popping of hips and knees as he did so. But he would sit there and kind of shoulder to shoulder look out the window, and without looking at her, he would say, I don't know your family. Thank you.
I don't know your family either. Thank you.
And he reaches over and grabs the first notebook and writes down in plain view, you can trust Hybria.
I see it and I just kind of smile and look back out the window. Those people over there seem to be having a nice picnic. It must be nice.
He puts the journal down. Looks nice.
And I imagine we're like sitting there looking out at this crazy opulent view, and maybe like from behind us in the room there's like whirring and beeping and the live wire freaking out. It's like,
Yeah, picnic. Yeah, you you sort of you watch this sort of almost very opposite scene out of the window of this sort of serene moment and at this pile of journals, and question for no reason, Cantor, would you remember everything you put in these journals? Like every single thing? Would you reckon you would have put stuff in there that you just have no memory of?
Alice, from player to GM, I have no clue what Cantor would have put in there. If he remembers to put something in there, he would have, but I leave that entirely up to you.
Okay, good to know. Back in the other room, Loxy, you probably had to like live wire out the way a few times.
It'd be like a little gentle like hip bump as I'm trying to like work my way around the table. Yeah.
And you sort of have that moment where the last thing slots in place, and Zarina, you almost I was going to say the Windows update sound. No, you can feel everything's like power up. And you've got like the little circle of the dots running around as you load back up, and you
Her eyes are just little swirlies.
Yeah, if anything, you feel like tired. Like it's an exhaustion thing, but it's very different to natural exhaustion. It's more like you just feel heavier, but you feel you're waking up in this room which has a big it does have big windows, but it looks like some shields, like some almost I want to say like blinds, but they're almost like blaster shield style, like they've rolled down so no one can see in. And you're looking up and you can see live wire, and you can see, if anything, a very up close Loxy, probably with the goggles on. Is probably the first thing you're going to see. Very colorful feathers.
I think she blinks, and then it takes a second. You know, the little loading bar is like sitting at like 99, 99, 99, 100, and then just a big deep breath, because the last thing she remembered, that was a bit difficult. And then she'll kind of sit upright, and as everything's kind of, it's been clicked back into place, but it's settling, so you hear probably some whirring of, you know, pistons and that kind of thing as she sits up, and she's just like, and just looks around. Thank you for repairing me, Loxy? Is that...
Yeah. You might want to just lie down and rest for a little bit. I basically had to reboot you and repair you.
I need to up my surge protection, I think.
Yeah, there was a tracker on you as well.
That was probably the giant robot thing. Okay, yeah, there was a rather large robot mechanical thing that was vaguely insectoid, but not a leech thing. And it plugged into me, and I think it was taking a bunch of scans, and it must have left that.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah, and then it exploded.
That's not great.
No.
So yeah, you've been through a lot today.
Yeah. Yeah, and she like side-eyes Danny DeVito.
I let go of her hands. Because I'd been holding it this whole time.
Uh-huh. She kind of just takes, like, I don't think she noticed because she has just rebooted, and then she, after you take it away, she's noticed, and she kind of pulls it to herself a bit. There is this really strange dude whistling, humming, singing something.
That's the same guy who was in my garage earlier.
Okay, yeah, he wasn't modded, but he sent this jolt, this surge. It was hard to function when he was close.
Yeah.
Economically speaking.
Um,
I think he was, I don't know, maybe projecting some kind of hologram or something.
Alice, I have a question. In my character sheet, it says I am trained in the basics of magic. Does that apply in this world?
It does.
Okay.
I not fully know what.
Yeah, so I'm trained in the basics of magic and attempt to understand and identify its properties. Would I be able to try and understand how this guy can do this without mods?
Yeah, roll me an intellect check for me, please.
So good.
Okay, this is something that you yourself probably don't understand. You might not even read it as magic. You might read it as... I think for a long time, you probably thought it was the equipment you use could pick up certain things, and slowly you realize when you're not wearing your goggles, you can pick up certain things without it. It's almost like you'll find that the only other time you've learned of someone else doing this was an Osirian like you. It's, you have this indication of, you will have... Now, before I say it, is there anything specific you're trying to find out?
I just, I'm trying to figure out... So, the guy is unmodded, but can do these things. So I think I'm trying to figure out if I can figure out if there's like a source.
You know that this shouldn't be the case. That no one would. It's literally a big no. It's not something that happens. The only thing you have heard linked where magic has been used, like just describing it, and even then you're unsure if magic is that sort of thing, is when it comes to Tellurians, you pick up a lot off of them. And from what you've met of some Tellurians on that role, you will have heard that they believe in something called the speaker or the voice. And some Tellurians without mods are able to do certain things.
But this guy doesn't appear to be, or hasn't appeared to be Tellurians.
Absolutely, definitely
Tellurian.
not. He's not a Tellurian at all, which is why it's so bizarre that a human is doing it. And it's not like, you know, magical abilities like wizard. It's like just there's some things that they maybe can do, and they believe it's provided to them by the voice or the speaker, as they refer to them by.
Okay. That's what's going on in Loxie's head as we're talking about the guy who's unmodded, who is able to know all these things about us, and she'll probably share a bit of it, just like yeah, he came to the garage, he knew a lot about us, and I've never heard of anyone like him, a human to be able to do things like this.
Everything's just so weird.
I agree.
I don't know what's going on. It's just a lot. There was a lot of supremacy, and they were after me specifically, like calling me by name, and I don't know
you
why.
said that Sleaze...
He did. He told them something. They wanted to know about your group. I think it has something to do with the assassins sent after Livewire. I don't think he wanted me involved, but it didn't sound like he had a lot of choice in the matter.
He sent assassins after me?
I think the assassins were after you, and maybe they contacted him to get... he said something about fast max on the phone. I don't know.
Yeah, they sent Supremacy the fast mag to get us.
Yeah, and I don't think he wanted me to be involved with that, because he changed his mind before the Supremacy were gonna get me, and he told me to run, and so I did. And I thought I had shaken them off, but then that guy appeared.
I don't know if he is actually directly affiliated with the Supremacy. He was there with a bunch of Watchers who I think are like mercenaries at my garage. So I don't know if he's acting independently or with the Supremacy. But
I don't know. I
don't understand him.
I don't know why they would... I haven't done anything.
By the way, the lady in white was in my van.
Okay.
I
don't know anything about her either.
The assassin?
Yeah, the one that killed that guy at my garage. Just phased in and out of my van.
Who told me that I should not let Livewire get assassinated at the hospital. First time. It was weird. You know, that guy did that too. There was a pedestrian who was eating a sandwich, and he was just frozen, like the hospital, but I don't think she was involved. I think it was him. I don't know. And he said he was giving me a gift when he did that surge, and he projected for just a second my late fiance. I don't even know how he would know about that. I'm just so confused as to why any of this is happening.
He knows a lot.
Yeah, he knew about my breather, because when everything was malfunctioning, he was like, just breathe. It was less sarcastic than that, but she just adjusts a couple of dials on things.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what
Yeah, no, it's
you
fine.
were set to. I just
You had the base settings right. I'm stressed right now, and I'm just increasing some oxygen.
understandably. By the way, Cantor lives here.
I was gonna ask where we were and if there was anything we could drink, because it's been a day.
There,
You can see the back of Hybria and Cantor on the sofa, just looking out. But
yeah, if you want to lay down, I can go check the kitchen. Maybe?
Yeah, sure, I'll just lie down, and
Okay.
everything's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
And like Livewire still has her bags because he like brought them up, and like they're like there in the
Because she
medical room.
left all her luggage at Sleaze's place, so the only thing was like her cross, like her messenger bag, basically, with the shoebox and basic purse stuff.
And he had brought that up, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Carries her purse, as you do. And when Loxy goes to the kitchen, he looks at her. He goes,
I look awkwardly at him, like uncomfortable, awkward. Like,
so, this is all my fault, and I'm really sorry.
hey, this is because did this all start at the police station?
No.
Like, what? No. I'm
really
sorry.
sorry.
How? I've never met you before at the police station. And have you been stalking me?
No. Look.
She sits back up because she's too uncomfortable to lay down. She can't.
and I imagine that Livewire's sitting like against the wall, facing the bed. I don't. Look, this is really hard for me to say, and I should have. Maybe I should have said this when I first saw you at the police station yesterday. But I didn't realize until the hospital. How it happened, how far it's gone, you know, how bad it's gotten. And
No, I don't know, because I don't know what you're talking about. You're being very vague.
Yeah, I know, I'm being vague. I'm sorry. It's you know when you got to tell somebody something and it's really hard to tell them, and so then instead of like telling them the thing, you talk around the thing.
No,
you know?
I don't know that. I knew someone who was like that, but I don't.
No, and you were never like that. You were always very. Sorry. What I mean to say is, they're after you because of me. And I try to do the best thing I could. I try to do the right thing. I try to make it right. I try to do the right thing, you know? Okay.
You're really weirding me out.
Sorry.
I might. Yeah, I think I can walk.
No, please let me just explain, because it's for your own health.
You're not going to try to
safety.
convince me to stay at her murder garage again, are you?
Zari, look, I gotta tell you this, okay? They're after you. I didn't think they'd ever find out about you. I never thought they'd find out about you. They didn't know about you before, and I thought that if I just went away, they would never find out about you. You'd be safe. Sleaze convinced me it was the right thing to do, that if you'd known, you'd come and try to find me. But if you found me, you'd be unsafe. But then that doctor came in, and he had a picture of you, and he had a picture of you and me, and he knew your name, and so all the stuff I did to try to keep you safe, it didn't even work. It didn't even work.
Foxy's gonna slide back into the room and set a bottle of whiskey on the table next to Zarina and then slide back out. No cups, just the bottle.
Just the bottle. Uh-huh. I think she, like, glances and then looks back.
And he goes to his pocket to sort of pull out a straw, but he's wearing a hospital gown and doesn't have a straw. But he always did. He always had a straw on him just in case she needed it.
And I think there's just it's uncomfortably long probably for a live wire, but it's just a minute when she's just staring at him and thinking about things. And after a moment she just kind of whispers, "Cupcake?"
I'm sorry. And like tears are coming down his eyes.
You're not dead?
No.
And she slaps him.
Yeah. Take it.
It's been years.
I know.
You don't. And she doesn't even. She can't quite form the words. She's so upset, but she'll roll up her crop top a little bit and push in an indent right around the edges of the ribs, and a little compartment pops out, and she pulls it off, and it's just right under here. And inside, there's a couple of things. There's like, a thumb drive, that kind of thing, and there's a little box. And Livewire would know this box. I found this when I was going through our things to move. She opens it and there's an engagement ring inside. I found this, yet you didn't tell me you faked your death?
Sleaze said that it wasn't safe, that there were assassins, and if they could link me to you, they would kill you. And that if you knew I was alive, you'd keep trying to find me, and that you would die. And I just couldn't let anything happen to you. I couldn't let anything happen to you at all.
Faked your death. Everyone thought you were dead.
I know.
I wouldn't have known. You could have let me know.
If I would have let you know, you would have tried to come with me.
And could have gone somewhere far away.
It's the supremacy.
I could have helped you.
I couldn't live with myself if anything happened to you, and I spent years just. And Sleaze told me that it was dangerous, and he told me they kept coming. He said that I had to do this, and I thought he was a friend, and I shouldn't have listened. But I knew that I didn't want you murdered because of me, because of what I did. Stupid journalism, and I'm sorry, and I knew it would hurt you, but I thought it would be better for you to be alive and be hurt.
You have ever told me?
I would check in with Sleaze to see if it was safe, and he said it wasn't. I didn't know where you were. I didn't know you were on this planet. I didn't know that I didn't know you were here till I saw you in that police station. And
You knew how to contact me. None of my information changed.
But if I contact you, what would you have done? Huh?
I would have been relieved. I would have been grateful. I loved you so much. And she sets the box down on the table next to the whiskey, picks up the bottle, and says, I can't believe you were so selfish. I know you were trying to protect me, but we wanted to be together forever, no matter what. And she just uncorks it and walks out of the room.
Sorry, they want something you got. That's why all this is happening.
Out of the room.
And I pick up the engagement ring in the box and I look at it. And I just lean my head forward until it hits the hospital bed. While I hold the engagement ring and still crying. And I say, I left the footage, a copy of the footage from the story with Archer in it, and a statue in the apartment. And that's what they want. That's why. He just sort of slumps there.
Do I hear that?
Oh yeah, I'm not being quiet.
I don't imagine that there's like a closed door, or like, I imagine it's a rather like open floor plan.
Yeah. Where is Serena
thing.
walking? Are you literally like leaving that and heading straight to the furthest opposite point of this apartment?
Basically, if there's a bathroom, she's just gonna go in there and close the door and cry and drink some of this bottle and pull out a visual device, like projector, and project some pictures that she has set as her backgrounds of everything, which was them as a couple. And then like the news article of him dying, and just going through things and having a good cry in the bathroom.
He's gonna be in the hospital room, also having a good cry while holding the engagement ring.
But Hybria, you do definitely hear your brother's name.
Yeah, there's this like internal conflict as she's like, it seems like now's a bad time, but also is like, oh my god, my brother. So she's going to like get up and then kind of like slowly half sit down again, and then like look between the bathroom that Zarina just went into in the hospital room, and then just like bolt up again and like just walk really stiffly over to the hospital room and stand in the doorway. And I imagine I just see Livewire with his head on the thing, and she says, I apologize for interrupting what seems to be a very emotionally charged moment, but I couldn't help but overhear that you mentioned something about my esteemed older brother, Liwei Archer Zhenfang.
Yeah.
And you have information?
He sort of sits up, although there's this sort of defeated slump in the shoulders. Yes, I destroyed, there were they thought there were 2 copies of all the information, of all my footage of the investigative story that I was making on your brother, and well, all of it. And because the story
What information? What story? What did you learn?
Well, I mean, I published the small story, but there was much more. There was more to it, of course. But I destroyed my copy, and they destroyed the other. But there was a 3rd copy that I hid in a small statue that I bought for Zarina when we were on vacation one time, and Mara. She thought the statue was so beautiful. She loved it, and I surprised her with it, and she didn't.
Yes, I understand you have a long, complicated history, but I am.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I just need to know.
But there was a 3rd copy on a thumb drive, and I hid it inside that statue just in case, and no one knew about that 3rd copy at all. No one. And it was in the apartment that we shared together on the satellite. And that had all of the raw footage that I'd taken over the weeks that I'd been following that story. And when I was in the hospital room, and your doctor, Mercedes, when he came to me, he wanted to know where the 3rd copy of the footage was. So somehow he knew that there was a 3rd copy, and I suspect that's why he was targeting Zarina all this time. And
Livewire.
Yes.
What does the footage contain
Oh,
that they are so interested in it?
it's a good question. The footage is weeks worth of footage. It's non-stop footage of your brother and his comings and goings. There's so much on there. I mean, there was him. There's probably more to it than I even know. I'd have to review all the footage again. But the things that you know about him meeting with black market mod dealers, of course, which somebody in the Supremacy would be hypocritical, which was the angle I wanted to sort of think about the relationship between the Supremacy and black market modding culture and the hypocrisy of it. But it had footage of people that I recognized one of the. I didn't even realize the story was a story until I saw your brother meeting with a man over there on Osiris that I recognized as a mod person because I'd seen him with Zarina before. And I knew that's how it started.
I understand that this footage is still at Zarina's apartment from what you know.
I mean, I don't know if she took the statue with her or not, but it also had, your brother came here to Namerius, to the Broken, and that was not part of the story, of course, but I followed him here, to this place, which was very strange. One thing I didn't put in the story, your brother, as Supremacy, would not have any mods at all. And so it was odd that he would be meeting with black market dealers, but I caught a small snippet of something. Your brother doing things that only people with mods would be able to do. Like it was a flash out of his hand. Like a blue flash of light that came out of his hand, and that's not a thing that someone unmodded would be able to do. So I noted it. I didn't put in the story. I tried to speak to your brother. He wouldn't speak to me. He denied everything and left. And I was hoping that I could interview him. But I'm telling you, I have days and days and days of footage of your brother just doing everyday things, meeting with people I didn't know who they were, some people I did know who they were, going about, being at events. I don't know. It's so much footage. Ms. Minju,
I understand that seems like a lot of information and a lot of footage, and that something on it must be very compromising for someone to be putting so much effort into trying to find it. I apologize for the cat sounds. It's my ringtone. I miss my cat.
No,
She's wandered off now.
It's fair. It's fair.
And she will just very stiffly turn and walk out of the room and just go to the bathroom that Zarina has secluded herself into and just knock on the door and say, Zarina, I understand that you are going through an emotional, complicated period right now, but I just need to know where your apartment is because I must go and fetch something from there.
What do you need?
I require a statue that Livewire had previously put some footage of my esteemed older brother, Zhenfeng Liwei Archer, inside of, and it will greatly aid in my investigation were I to have that footage. Hey, come here, Manu. Everyone wants to see you.
Yes, we do.
Come here. She's running away.
Oh,
you can see her a little bit.
Oh. I miss my kitty.
Very loud.
But adorable. There's just a pause. You might hear a couple sips of liquid. Whatever it is, it's not there. It's either in my purse or it's already been taken by someone.
do you recall seeing this statue in your purse? Would you mind if I just went and had a look?
There's a shoebox with things in it.
Just hearing her voice and her crying, that he just puts his head back on the medical bed again.
Mm-hmm. She's
It's my sentimental items box.
yes, I understand that there is a strong, complicated, emotional reaction happening here. I will leave you to
You can
your
call it that. Yeah, if it's not in the box, Sleaze told me someone had taken something from my apartment. So that was probably it.
All right, thank you. And I guess Cantor and Loxy would just watch as Cypher is just bouncing back and forth.
I reach over to the bag, her bag, and I pick it up, and I open it up, and I pull out the shoebox,
Mm-hmm.
and I open the shoebox while still holding the engagement ring.
Yeah, it's filled with pictures that have been printed out and postcards and knickknacks, because she was very minimalist in her apartment aesthetic, and so the only knickknacks that were ever brought into the house was because of Ramos, and so it's all those little things inside the shoebox.
And
the inside is like decoupaged with like the pictures and stuff.
And I was about to go and search for this statue to see if it was in there, but once I see all of these things, I just can't. And I just put
it's like a scrapbook. It's got like little like holographic hearts and like all sorts of things.
And
yeah,
I actually
Hybria's
just can't go through it.
beelining for the shoebox. I'm
And
like,
I
I
put the
understand you're
shoebox
having
in
an
the bed.
emotional thing right now.
And I will say, as Hybrid is moving towards Livewire, first of all, what is Loxy and Cantor doing?
Well, every time Hybria says, I understand there's a strong emotional thing happening, Loxy goes, yeah, they knew each other. Like, knew each other. And she's also poured like a glass of whiskey for herself and Cantor. I assume they're just sitting on the couch.
Right.
When Hybria goes to the box, Livewire's going to go to the door of the bathroom.
Cantor this entire time would be sitting there, and as this, they knew each other, he would be looking between the two journals, like the blue one and the red one, and then he would eventually just look over at Loxy and say, I'm not going to write any of this down if that's okay.
No, you don't need to. I mean, I'll remind you if you need to know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And you clink your glasses together.
And with the clink to Cantor would indicate another door, and he'd say, if you need anything, your room's over there.
My room?
I didn't know. I did it whenever I thought maybe someday you'd be here, so there it is.
Thanks, Cantor.
My home is your home.
I think Loxy might...
No, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think Loxy might actually go explore the room then. Now she's curious.
It would be minimalist like everything in the rest of the loft, except in here it would have some of the the living paint that changes color, and it would cycle through whatever Loxy's favorite color is. It would cycle it through shades of that hue.
Oh. Loxy's a little tipsy off of the small glass of whiskey that she has.
It's only like
she is but a small bird. Small bird person.
It's like this.
Yeah,
off I go.
Like Cantor's glass would be like this. In Loxy's hand, it's like this.
Yes.
Ramos is going to knock on the bathroom door.
What?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Could you open the door?
It's not locked.
May I open the door?
I guess so.
I'll open the door so that I can see her.
She is sitting in the bathtub. I imagine she's like, you hear the curtain pull right before you came in, but there's like lights so you can just see the silhouette, and it's just like the bottle sitting in the empty bathtub.
I am so sorry. I have not been happy since the last time I saw you.
Do you think I've been happy?
No.
Good. Because I haven't been.
Zarina, could you make me an intellect check, please?
Yes. I would love to make you an intellect check. Let's see. Let me just get to the thing.
Just a straight up one.
Sure. It'll roll eventually. 4.
Okay. So as you're there,
She's
sat in the
emotionally
bathtub-
compromised.
As you're sat there in the bathtub, you can hear him talking, and every now and then it's like you don't catch a word.
I'm gonna try to reach out for her and like just kind of move forward and sort of
Yeah,
kneel
and
down.
if she's not catching, if she's missing words, she'll throw open the curtain.
And as you throw open the curtain, you watch his mouth moving and no sounds are coming out.
Oh no. You listen here, cowboy. You are not just... What is happening?
And you can see this strange distortion move across Livewire.
And I sort of reach out with the box, with the engagement ring box.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reaching it towards you.
She's gonna stand up, bottle in one hand, and like going just to set her hand on top of the box on his hand and be like, I don't know what's going on, but I swear if you're gonna leave me again.
And there's a crackle, and you notice like how that tree, that hologram tree, distorted, and that snowstorm effect. Livewire does exactly the same thing. And Livewire, you can see your hands start to sort of almost like bits, chunks of you in these glitches start to move. And Zarina, as you stand there, you watch Livewire phase out and just sort of glitch away. The box drops and clatters on the bathroom floor, and the ring leaves the box and rolls out and just sits by the bathroom sink, and you're stood in this bathroom alone.
She's gonna open the door to the bathroom and look around to make sure he wasn't just like, oh, I'm gonna project myself in here so I don't actually have to deal with the conflict. And see that he's not out there. Go back in. She's gonna pick up the ring very shakily, put it back in the box, close the box, walk back out and go, did you all see Ramos Livewire?
And
out
as
here?
you save that, Livewire, your eyes feel very heavy, like you've been sleeping, and you sort of flicker open, and all around you, you just see white. And this almost like shield of glass in front of you. As you lay down, you put your hands out, and you can feel that glass surface in between you and whatever is on the other side.
Sorry?
And that is where I think we'll leave it this week, as Livewire phases out.
Sorry if I
Fine.
missed it, but did I get to the shoebox, or am I still walking?
You
towards-
got to the you were just
Oh,
about to
okay.
get
I think I
box.
got distracted by something.
Yeah.
Okay. Real tense. Everything's real tense. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
Well, that was fun and frustrating at the end.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go around and talk to everybody and see where we can find them. Let's start with Lily. Lily, my friend, how are you? Where can we find you online?
Why would you? You can find me online. My name is Lily Sparks. I'm the girl with many lives. It's Sparks with an X. I'm on Twitter and Instagram and Twitch. I do TTRPG and D&D streaming and soon video games. And this is my favorite game. So, if you're here, you're already watching the best thing that I do. So keep being here. Thank you for being here. And thank you so much for all the chat help and all that. But oh my goodness. I want every episode to be 3 hours.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
Oh, fantastic. Let's jump across to Erica. Erica, my friend, how are you and where can we find you online?
Hi, I am good. I am very happy that we had a long episode. You can find me everywhere at A Style Pixie, including Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. And I stream daily on Twitch Monday through Thursday, sometimes Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Awesome. Let's jump up to Lindy. Lindy, how are you, my friend, and where can we find you online?
I am emotionally compromised, Greg, but besides that, I'm spiffy. Wow, just a lot happened today, and it's gonna be a lot next week too, I have a feeling. You can find me online at Laugh Love Lindy, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Monday and Tuesday nights are usually D&D on my channel, but they're a little up in the air due to travel things. We'll see. Just follow me on Twitter to see what I'm doing when. You can find me here on Wednesday nights as well for The Witcher. And you can find me on most Saturdays, not tomorrow because it's a holiday, on Wandering DM's channel to be a pirate. And yeah, I love this game. I love these people. This is amazing. So many feels. Also, I may not have had my light up mask today, but I did have my medical mask. So people, wear your masks out here. If I can wear this for 3 hours and be just fine, you can too. Be responsible.
Yes! Let's jump over to Trooper. Trooper, my friend, how are you and where can we find you online? And where are you? Damn it, where are you?
I'm also emotionally compromised and perhaps physically compromised. Not me, but clearly Livewire is physically compromised somehow. Yeah. So I'm Trooper SJP. You could find me on my channel streaming, but I'm moving on Tuesday. And then I don't know how my internet will be. And so maybe you will never see me again. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Lindy. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Look, I'm sure there will be internet, at some point. I am hoping that you will see me the week after next on my channel and also back here, but I don't know what happened to Livewire. Maybe this is what heaven looks like, but I doubt it.
It's not going to be severely damaging to Zarina's psyche to have you be like, I'm not dead, and now I'm gone again.
I know.
Zarina's there like swigging whiskey like, here we go again.
You motherfucker.
This one wasn't my choice. Well, I mean, you know. Oh.
By the way, this just in, next week, the role of Livewire will be played by, Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito
Nice.
will be here next week.
Oh, my heart.
So excited for that. And also, Sleaze is not a good person. That's all I'm going to say.
He wasn't even in it this week.
No, he was here in
I'll say
spirit.
he wasn't a bad person, but he's not a good person.
Not a good person.
He's just sleazy.
Yeah.
It is sleazy.
Fantastic. Thank you for the follows, everybody that have come in. We appreciate it. You'll be notified whenever we go live to join us next week when we continue this up. But let us go right now to Alice. Alice, the puppeteer of this grand stage play. I have a special thing I'm going to say when I'm done, but how are you and where can we find you online, my friend?
I'm good. I love this game and I find it stressful even when I know what's gonna happen. But I love all these characters. I love the RP that happened this week, both just between everyone. Like, I think everyone had a really, really good moment. You can find me, hang on, what am I doing? Starting next week, we have Premiere Week over on the Scraticus Academy. I do have a Twitter, however, I'm really sorry if you're DMing me because I've taken a break from Twitter, so if I'm not replying, I'm not ignoring you. I've just not been there for like 2 weeks. Otherwise, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this thing where I'm gonna start streaming and see how it goes. I'm doing that later this evening. Otherwise, you can find me over on Gilding Light every Friday in the premiere of season 2 next Friday. Otherwise, I just want to dive back straight into this game. I'm very, very glad we had an extra episode, hour this week. I loved it, so thank you.
Fantastic. And Erica, I did get you, right? Am I having a Cantor moment? Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I'm having a Cantor moment.
I had second guessing myself. Everybody, Grimjack21502 on the Twitter, Tales from the Grim here on the Twitch. I don't have much to say other than this. Masterclass moment by Alice in this respect. Lily and I threw a combo move at Alice earlier in this session. It was taking advantage of certain abilities that we had to set up a scene and to make that scene work flawlessly and effortlessly, whatever, blah, 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 put us into a hologram. That image in and of itself will live with me for this entirety of this campaign and obviously beyond. That is master level shit to be able to just say hologram. This is cyberpunky. You're in a hologram now. Unreal bit. That's it. You can know where to find me on Twitter. We do have Witcher on Wednesdays. We have a new show, Midsummer, that is going to be starting very soon on Monday afternoons. You can join us there. Yes, yes. Lindy's in that one as well. We have a lot of fun coming up, so make sure you join us back here, though. And congratulations to Bill of the Forest, Billy, who won the Cypher System PDF. I'll get in touch with you, my friend, to make sure that you do it. And everybody, thank you so much from Sphinx, Steve, Vecna, and of course Monty Cook Games for all the lovely donations that help to create and shape this narrative. Every single dime donated to the players go to the players. And so this will be forwarded on to these lovely people that you see all around here. Excellent all around. Love you all, Legion. And I cannot wait till next week. And as the campfire goes down, there's only one thing left to say. You can't always roll nat 20s unless the Legion gives you crits. Yes. But you can always role play. We'll see you next time, friends.